Today, I'm thrilled to welcome a true creative powerhouse and visionary leader in Canada's event industry, Hayley Dawood, entrepreneur, content creator, and the brilliant owner behind The Idea Hunter, one of the nation's top corporate event and entertainment agencies. Hayley has spent over a decade turning bold ideas into unforgettable experiences. What began as a spontaneous step into the industry has evolved into a full-fledged empire built on innovation, elegance, and heart. Since taking the reins in 2020, she's scaled The Idea Hunter into a creative force, producing standout events for brands like Toronto Blue Jays, MAC Cosmetics, and Hudson's Bay Company. Her signature approach blends sophistication with imagination, from captivating the performances to cutting-edge tech activations. Hayley and her team transform spaces into immersive journeys, each moment carefully designed to guide energy, spark, connection, and leaving guests in awe. With over 500 unique concepts on her signature idea menu, Hayley has redefined what it means to craft an experience in 2025. Her trailblazing leadership earned her the title of Event Professional of the Year, and it's easy to see why. In today's episode, we'll explore Hayley's creative process, her evolution as founder, and how she continues to build empires out of ideas, always with purpose and undeniable flair. Hayley, welcome to the show, and I'm really excited to hear about your journey.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I have to be honest, I'm a little nervous because I know we're going to be chatting about things that I have talked about on podcasts before, but we're also going to be chatting about things I've never talked about on a podcast before.
Okay.
So I'm excited and ready to see where this goes.
Okay. So I know that you joined your mom's business in 2015. Mm-hmm. So how has the structure of the business evolved since then?
Oh gosh, so much. When I think back to those days, I joined her. She was in her basement and it was her and I down there. I remember when I first started, because I was only supposed to be there temporarily, that I told her, don't buy me a desk, don't buy me a chair. I would take a chair from the kitchen table and bring it down to the basement every single day. And I would just literally pull it right beside her. I'm actually very grateful for those days looking back, because I did not know anything about events. Being able to sit beside her and listen to how she spoke to clients on the phone and the questions she asked or how she answered, I basically started just mimicking her and trying to copy how she would answer something, and I would try and do the exact same. So I'm very grateful. But yes, when I think back to the very beginning, it was just this small office in her basement, but that grew to like a team under 10. We moved out of the house. My stepdad was very happy about that.
I don't blame him.
Yeah. And we got an office, and the team just like grew so much in the time since I joined her.
Wow. So I know you took it over in 2020.
Yes.
So that must have been like taking over from your mom was probably, a little scary in itself. But then in addition to that, we got hit with the pandemic. So what was it that kept you wanting to push forward during that time and keep succeeding?
Yeah. The pandemic was truly a blessing in disguise. I think a lot of people actually experienced the pandemic in that way. It shifted their life, some of us in a really positive direction. During the pandemic, we had to temporarily lay off a lot of our employees. And It was the first time where I didn't feel that I had an obligation to anyone. Up until that point, I felt really responsible for our team. I didn't want to let people down. Mm-hmm. So when when nobody was left, I realized that after 5 years of working with my mom, that it was, becoming stressful in our relationship. And I really felt like we were losing the mother-daughter dynamic. So once we had let everyone go, I decided to tell her that I just didn't think it was the right thing to continue as a mother-daughter. Like, I wanted to actually be her daughter again.
Right.
And that is when she actually offered me the opportunity to purchase the business, because she also had the realization that, she had had an amazing career and that we had to rebuild. Like, we had to do everything new, virtual. We were learning virtual for the first time with everybody else.
That's true.
And she had built so many businesses at that stage that she was like, do I really want to do this again? So it was the best gift that she could have ever given me. It was not the easiest transition. It was still something that was really important to her, but it meant the world to me to have that opportunity. And I knew people needed the idea hunter. That was really never the concern for me. We were always a business that everyone in the industry needed. We were such a great source and continue to be a great source of ideas. And that's what people need for events. They always need new ideas. So I knew it was a great opportunity. And where else was I going? I mean, this is where I had spent the last 5 years. To be honest, I didn't really think that there was another option. So when she offered it to me, I was like, yeah, I'll just have to figure it out.
Wow. That's pretty cool. So during the pandemic, what strategies did you implement to kind of help your team also with the uncertainty?
Well, I didn't have to help a team because it was really just me.
Okay. So how did you help yourself with the uncertainty?
Yeah, they didn't have to go through too much of the chaos with me. A couple things. So first off, we got the pandemic started in March. I got the first call that came through to our business was in June. And another planner, we get a lot of calls from planners. They outsource creative asks to us.
Okay.
And they said, we're doing this virtual event and we want to do cocktail kits. So I realized in that moment that really the Idea Hunter was built on receiving a problem and solving it by knowing a vendor or knowing a product that would solve that problem that this person was trying to fix. So first I just let go of everything else and I realized at the crux of all of this, it's the same thing. I just have to solve this person's problem. And thankfully, my twin sister worked at Bacardi and they had all these brand ambassadors for all, Grey Goose and Patron Tequila. And they had all these ambassadors that could not sample product in bars. So I called her and I said, can your ambassador run a virtual event and I'll figure out how to ship these cocktail kits. So they offered and said, that would be awesome. If you put Bacardi product in your kits, we'll host your events. So immediately I was like, okay, we're on to something. Like this might actually work. The shipping of kits across Canada was not perfect. I made a lot of mistakes on the first one, but I had never done logistics like that. I had never shipped things. I didn't even know what Uline was, like that they sold boxes and all these things. So I had to learn very quickly, but you asked me what were some of the things I did to succeed in that time. And one of the things I realized in that time was people were so forgiving. Events is actually an industry where there's not a lot of forgiveness. I was always taught you kind of get one shot. It's a live event. You fail that live event, people remember, and they're not going to risk their reputation on you again.
Right.
But the pandemic changed that. People were so much more understanding. They were, they understood that we were all in the same boat. But in my mind, I realized I had about 6 months of that forgiveness. I was like, I know these people. I've worked with you all for 5 years. How long are you going to give me that much leniency? And I was working with top brands, as you noted in the intro. So I realized, okay, Hayley, you have 6 months to make mistakes and people will not hold it against you. So I actually went in with the attitude, let me make as many mistakes as I possibly can because I only have 6 months to figure this out before their expectations. And I gave myself 6 months because that was till the end of the year. So I figured by the time January came around, this would be the new normal. So that was really my attitude. So I just kind of went in. I was definitely stressed. I was always nervous because every single event I was doing was brand new. Every single thing I was trying, I had never done before. So running a virtual event, shipping kits across Canada, and they have to arrive at a specific date or else people won't have their kits. Will the item inside be perishable or not perishable? Like all these things I had to go through. But it really worked out because in that 6 months, I learned so much. And by the time January came around, everyone was calling me because they're like, the Idea Hunter's doing so much in virtual that let's call them. Like they know what's going on. So it was a good mindset to go in with.
So it kind of made you the standard in the industry.
Yeah, I think because we jumped in with no fear very early on, we were so much further ahead. I also think a lot of people thought that virtual was going to go away, especially in those first few months when, again, I use that as my learning period. People use that as their waiting period. They were hoping, okay, live events will be back in a few months, but I didn't really know when live events would be back, but my thing is just go with change. Always go with the wave, move with it. And I'm like, at the end of the day, whether it comes back or not, it doesn't matter what's happening right now. So that's what I embraced.
I like what you said. It's like that saying that fail often and fail quickly.
Yes.
So that you can learn quickly.
Yes. It's a lot of sweaty, nervous moments, but we got through it.
That's awesome. So I know that there's a lot of families that work together in a business, and it's often the same situation as you had with your mom, where a parent may start a business and then an adult child may come into the business, and family dynamics can be challenging on their own. So mixing a business into that dynamic, were there any like challenges with that?
For sure. My mom I'm so much like her. Even like all kids, we always say we're more like our parents than we want to admit.
I think that's true.
And she is a tough woman. There's no real glass ceiling for my mom.
I love that.
I love it too. I truly do. But I was a lot softer when I started with her. I was very aware of everyone's feelings. It's something that I still like. I like to be like that, but I am also coming into my own voice, not so worried about what every single person's going to think or feel. And I think that comes with maturity and time. But she was already way past that. She was so confident with herself. She didn't really care if she ruffled feathers.
Right.
So that's actually more where our disconnect came from. Our personalities were so different. And it made me uncomfortable. I didn't love how she would be okay with ruffling feathers, where I was like, but why would you do that? Like, why would you say it like that? That person's going to be like, nervous or upset or this or that. So early on, I think it was where I was at in my life and where she was at in her life was very different. But we also, in the most interesting of way, were the perfect dynamic duo, because our company literally quadrupled in the time that we worked together.
Wow.
Because I brought the empathetic side and because I understood people to a really deep level and I could communicate with them really well, like even over email, and get them exactly what they were looking for and hear exactly what their needs were and match them to the right idea. And then she was amazing at getting us like on stages to speak and getting us the sponsorship and getting us the opportunity to market ourselves, because she was just such a social, well-connected person. So we came together so nicely. But then, yes, there was, of course, differences in how we wanted to handle things or conflicts that came about because we disagreed and have different perceptions of those situations. So it was not always easy. And like I said, the accumulation of that over 5 years, I did feel like at a certain point it was starting to just damage the relationship too much as we both benefited from the dynamic being together. To me, it just became not worth it to have so much conflict with my mom, who I love and like am internally grateful for everything she's done for me.
So did you ever find that going from like mother-daughter to a colleague-to-colleague relationship, like how did that change things? And did you ever feel like you didn't want to do things as the status quo and maybe have a bit of your own voice?
So one thing I would say is that my mom, she's always, how do I put this? I never grew up where like my parents coddled me. They were both entrepreneurs. It's not like my mom did every single thing for me. I remember like kids would get like, there'd be like a snowstorm, it would be like pouring rain outside and all the parents would be out with their cars. And my sister and I would walk home, we'd be soaking wet. We'd walk in, my mom's there like on a call and we're like, Mom, like all the other parents picked up their kids. And she just wasn't that way. And in the best way, I don't even say that as like, I love that about her. Like I loved how strong she made us, how tough we were. We weren't really scared of anything. And I saw that big jump. Like when we graduated from university, my sister and I knew exactly how to get ourselves jobs. Like we knew what we had to do, how to take care of ourselves, how to pay off our debt. Like there was really no delay for us. So why I say that is because when we started working together, we already had a little bit of that dynamic in our relationship where we didn't have all this like softness in the relationship, I guess. So working together was relatively easy. We also had different last names. So I actually never told anybody that she was my mom because she was remarried. So a lot of people, even after like 3-4 years, didn't even know we were mother-daughter. A lot of people did, like when we started getting on stages and talking together. But I was intentional in that because I really wanted people to I wanted people to get to know me for who I was. I didn't want them to favor me in any way. I didn't want them to think differently or have a perception of me. So it really actually worked to my benefit that people did not know right away.
Yeah, it kind of gets rid of the bias.
It gets rid of the bias, and they were very like honest with me if they like if they wanted to see something at the Idea Hunter, if they didn't like something, they didn't hold anything back from telling me.
Right.
And it, went so far as people literally that worked with us for 5 years had no idea that she was my mom, which was kind of funny to me. It kind of became like kind of a fun secret. I'm like, what will they tell me that they think that they wouldn't have told the owner's daughter?
Yeah, that was probably a lot of fun. So did you ever feel like getting, oftentimes adult children feel like getting advice from a parent can feel like criticism or that they don't trust them? I know for myself, this is going to sound really weird and quirky, but when I have to take my mom to a doctor's appointment because she doesn't drive, she calls me every time before. And I don't know why that call irritates me so much. I feel like saying, like, what am I, 12? Like, I don't know how to get to an appointment at this point in my life. What do I do without you? On the other hand, I also know that when I have adult children, so I often want to give them advice based on my life experience. So did you guys ever have any kind of issues with your communication that way?
For sure. I don't know what it is about the mother-daughter dynamic. I definitely experienced the same things. Like I would come into work and I'd have all these emails asking me, how's this client? What's this client? And I would just delete all of them. I was like, because there was like 20 back to back to back to back. And I was
From
like,
your mom?
Yes. And I was like, oh my goodness, I want to get to like what I have to do for the clients. I can't spend all morning responding to each one of these emails. So yes, it definitely did drive me a little bit nuts. And the calls, and then of course technology with parents and the passwords, and I can't get into my inbox and all those things. So you definitely have this, like, it's funny because it's not my mom, it's every child parent dynamic. You have this like little annoyance, and especially when you're working together, there's no question that you have to have different projects, different roles. I believe that for every family dynamic. Even my husband and I work together now. He's actually the president of the Idea Hunter now. And we really work on different things. We both own our own roles, our own teams, everything. And I think that that is truly the key to success. But I was 26 when I joined my mom. So there was still so much that I was learning about myself, figuring out my own voice, figuring out why did all these things drive me nuts. And I think looking back to one of the things I've really reflected a lot on is that my mom had a very bullish way about her. And like I said, she knew how to ruffle feathers. But as I've gotten older, I've learned that like sometimes that's the person that makes change. That's really the person that knows how to build something. And I've seen it. Like I've seen it time and time again that the really big successful people in this world, they do ruffle feathers. They're not so concerned about every single person's feelings.
More polarizing.
Way more polarizing. And as myself, I am a content creator. I am an entrepreneur. I've actually pushed myself to be a bit more polarizing, which is funny. Now I almost feel like I'm actually moving towards a little bit more of her style, because I look at her and I think she started a business before the Idea Hunter, sold that successfully. She started the Idea Hunter. Events is a very difficult industry to break through. Most people struggle with it. To get to the in-house planners at some of these massive companies and to get to the biggest producers in the city is not easy. The fact that she did that, having no events background and not knowing anybody in the industry, massive, massive feat that she accomplished there. And now she started a new business called Event Minds Matter for mental health. And she is basically pushing back on the industry about their education around mental health and the need for it for event planners. And I look at her and I think, if she didn't know how to ruffle feathers, she couldn't have done any three of those businesses. So even though, yes, those were the things that initially drove me nuts about working with her and the things that I like probably made me the most uncomfortable, I realized in a lot of ways it was a mirror of what I wasn't capable of doing, that I didn't have that confidence I wanted everybody to like me. I wanted everyone to understand me. That was a big thing. I always wanted people to understand me, like understand my exact intention, not manipulate it, not change it. So I think she mirrored a lot of that, which brought out frustrations in me. But now, as I get later into my career, not later, still have a lot to go, but it's interesting now that I'm finding inspiration in some of the things that she did. And hopefully she would say that she's finding some softness in her approach. And maybe in some ways we're almost getting closer to the middle of blending one another in a funny way.
I saw this quote the other day and I thought, that is so true. I asked God for flowers and he sent me rain.
Oh, I love that.
So you have to think about that.
I love that. Yeah, no, I do love that because we grow up so much like thinking about our parents, and I think there's different dynamics. Like some people are like best friends with their parents, and that was the dynamic that they were born with for whatever reason. And then other people are given parents that were meant to
Send them rain.
send them rain. Yeah, exactly.
To make them into beautiful flowers.
Exactly. And I truly, truly believe, even with all the frustration along the way, that my mom was the best gift to me and was like very intentionally given to me. There's so many things inside of me that have held me back, and she really put a light on those things. And as much as I didn't realize it at the time, it was pushing me to have more confidence, to have a stronger voice, to be more of myself. So yeah, our parents are a gift. I remember actually having dinner with a friend, and she made the comment that everyone does. Oh, well, you don't choose your parents, right?
Right.
And I looked at her, I said, but what if you do?
And what if you do?
And she paused and she's like, it was like her heart opened up in that moment. And I think about it a lot, and it's brought me so much peace. And I think a lot of people who work with their parents can probably relate to sometimes the anger, the frustration, the upset that you go through making decisions together strategically. You want more control. You want them to retire, all these things, right? Like it's a similar experience for a lot of kids working with their parents. But when you realize that like this dynamic is such a gift, and that you're actually experiencing all that for a reason, you start to embrace it. You start to stop fighting it, and you just embrace what's happening.
Yeah. Well, I did work with my daughter for a short period of time. And what I found challenging was wearing the different hats as a mom, because it's like I was shifting back and forth between being the business owner and then also being a mom. So did you ever feel like as an adult child that, there was some boundaries that needed to be there, or, it was kind of difficult wearing the different hats?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Mostly just because my mom and I always had an interesting dynamic. I think there was times where she was going through things where I played sometimes that role of taking care of her and looking out for her. Mm-hmm. And because of that, I think our roles had changed throughout my lifetime. Like she was very motherly and like an amazing mom growing up. And then when she went through a divorce, I felt like naturally as a teenage daughter, you kind of realize that your parents are going through something, and you start to step up and take on that parental role to look out for them. Yeah. And then we became this working dynamic. So for me, it was, I guess, a little bit interesting because I think my roles and her roles had actually been changing even before we got into business together and started working together. But I think she tried really hard to still be my mom. And I think where she really shined as a mom in the business was like she would get a speaking opportunity and put me on the stage with her. And I think looking back, I really appreciate that. Even though I drove her nuts, I'm sure if she was doing this interview, I'd be interested to hear how she would answer the questions too. Because I know none of us are perfect. I was not perfect. But I really appreciate that she could have kept elevating herself. She could have kept her personal brand going. She had been the one who built it and invested into it. And the one thing I will say, even the whole time I was with her, is I never expected ownership in the company, and I never expected her to put me on those stages. That I never asked her. I felt that she had done the work to build the business, and it was not my place, or it was just never something I expected her to give me. I was earning my place in that business and in building my own career. So looking back, I think she showed her love in different ways. She showed her love in saying, okay, my daughter, everybody has to know my daughter. Everyone has to know Hayley. And there's no way I would be here. Like, yes, I took the opportunity and I ran with it. I worked so hard. I worked harder than any other employee. I worked 7 days a week, weekends, nights, even at that, like even early in my mid-20s, I was still putting in the time and doing everything I could to do a great job for our clients. But she really gifted me the opportunity to shine and to have a runway to take.
Definitely your mother was giving you opportunity, which was very loving on her part. But there, like you said, it was also you, because a lot of us are given opportunities all the time. Like they're right there, and people don't take the opportunity that is given to them. But you, on the other hand, did see something there that you could learn and grow, and you went with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I worked at Pepsi and General Mills when I graduated. And I always felt like I was an average performer. Should I stop? Pause.
He's busy today.
Yeah, he's back to back.
She's being a guard dog.
It is amazing that she doesn't bark.
That she doesn't?
Yeah, that she doesn't bark. Like most dogs when the door. Oh, okay. We appreciate it.
Take your vest off, Joe.
Aw.
Okay. She's Hayley's friend now.
Hi. You do match me. We're both in cream. Wow, you're
Okay.
so friendly now.
Okay, no. Candy, that's enough. No,
Wanna
that's enough.
sit?
You can sit, but that's
No,
about
she's
it.
like, we're gonna play. All right, we'll give you a second.
Give you a second.
You've been very calm
Yep.
this whole time. Want to sit with me?
So, Graham, when do you want me to go? Oh, anytime? Okay. So we all have our own lens or our own perception when it comes to the way we see a certain situation. That's one of the things that I teach people through the NLP programming model. And the way the human mind works is there's an event, like where we are today. And then when we see the event, it goes through a filter in our brain. And that filter can come from our metaprogramming, an attitude, values and beliefs, memories. So that's what our filters are made up of. And then from those filters, we either delete, distort, or generalize the event. And generalizing can be from a past experience. We just say, well, that's just like that. And from that, then we create a picture, we get into a state or have feelings and act on it or have a behavior from that. And that's literally what we're doing all the time. That's how the human mind works. That's why they say that the world that we see outside is actually a representation of our world inside. So was there ever a situation with you and your mom where you had different perspectives or perceptions of an event?
I was on that cycle for so long. What you said resonates with me so much. I was desperate to get out of that cycle, actually. I was aware that I was super triggered by past experiences. I knew that the same feelings kept coming up. I would go to therapists and actually sit in their chair and I was like, I just want to not have this feeling anymore. Like, tell me how to not be triggered. Like, I don't want to be triggered. How do I not be triggered? And the reason why it took me so long was because I wanted to change my mom. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to change her, how she spoke, how she maybe handled certain situations, because obviously at 26, I know exactly how every human should operate and talk to people. Mm-hmm. And there was different situations. I mean, I do remember one time where my mom and I had taken on a wedding client. It was just a friend that she knew. We don't do weddings, we do corporate events. But she said, hey, let's do this wedding together. And I said, sure. Okay. I was young. I always wanted to make more money. So if I can make more money on the weekends, cash, like I was happy to do it. We did that wedding. And then while I was at that wedding, I got approached by another couple to do their wedding.
Okay.
And then I asked a colleague of mine that I was really close with, I said, hey, do you want to do this wedding together? And my mom found out and she was not happy, which now looking back makes complete sense. But at the time I thought, well, I'm on a salary. I need to make more money. So I have to have options on my weekend that have nothing to do with work. Obviously, as a business owner now, I would not want two of my employees planning an event together outside of business. Like it's a clear conflict of interest. It's like in the exact same industry. But at the time I was so upset that she did not, like, she was like, you're not allowed to do this. You cannot plan that wedding. We had already committed. So we just told her like, this will be the only one we do. We won't do it again. But I just remember being I felt so misunderstood. I felt like she didn't trust me. I felt like she didn't understand that like I'm living downtown Toronto. I need to make more money than, what I'm making. And it was these were just like, that was one example of many of like this feeling of being misunderstood, this feeling of her not having empathy for things that I was maybe going through at that time. But then I went to this seminar in Morocco. So I was part of Entrepreneurs Organization and they had a women's summit. And what I'm trying to come back to is this feeling of wanting to change her. So I spent years trying to help her through situations. If there was a conflict, that mediator child, the child that always helps everyone get through, that was me. Go to this seminar and this woman gets up on the stage and she said, you know what the next big trend in personal development is going to be? And I'm like all ears because I've been doing personal development by that time for 10 years. I was a sponge for personal development. I could read any book, at any seminar. I loved it. And she goes, the next big trend is going to be full accountability. She's like, you're accountable for everything. Everything that happens to you in your life is your fault. Everything. Mm-hmm. And it just, when you hear something at the exact right time, it can be the simplest concept, but you just needed to hear it in that exact moment. It hit me so hard that I still talk about it today because it was so what I needed to hear. And it like shook me. I just realized I'm like, oh my God, I have been trying to change everybody around me. It's all their fault. It's everybody else. And I didn't change. I never thought it was me, like that I would have to change myself. So I came back from that trip and I decided I'm not coaching anybody anymore. I'm not mediating anyone else. I'm not mentoring my parents, which I'm sure they were thrilled about. And, and I am going to, because I am responsible for any dynamic I'm having with them, I'm just not going to engage in anything I don't want to experience. And it was really like that simple. I will say it took them adjusting to it because when people know that you're a source that they can call, when they can talk drama with you, gossip with you, maybe fight with you, and now all of a sudden you're turning that hose off, like you're just like, yeah, no, I realize I don't need to anymore. That was the biggest change for me. And it started to shift my whole family. My sister started to do it because when conflict and drama exists in a family, it exists for everybody and you're all feeding into it in some way, right? So my sister started noticing what I was doing and I just told her, hey, I don't want to gossip about stuff about the family anymore. So when we talk, if we can just keep it about you and I or positive things or whatever, it doesn't have to be positive, but just not about the family. And I started just slowly just saying no and no and no. And then other people started doing the same thing. And then over time, everyone that was this big, mighty, powerful energy started to like diffuse. It did take about a year or two in total, I would say, between the full transition. If I had to look back, it's actually kind of unbelievable. And I'm happy to talk about it because it did take that change of being fully accountable, of realizing like this is nobody else. And then once you're out of it and it's diffused, what you're able to do now, what I can do is actually look back and realize, oh my God, that was the challenge all along. That was the mountain. That was the top of the hill. Like that's what I had to get to. That was the strongest I had ever been, is the moment I just took it all on myself and like just started figuring, because who do you have the most control over? You.
Yourself.
Yeah. Nobody can stop you from changing yourself. I was like, this is so much easier. So much easier to change yourself than to change other people. So I just started doing the work on me. And it turns out actually I had a lot of work to do. So I'm glad I started when I did.
And it's so empowering People think that taking responsibility means that you're the problem, but it's actually the opposite. It means you're in control.
The most control you'll ever be in
is taking control of yourself. And sometimes when I speak to clients that have had a situation or I'm coaching someone, one of the things that I ask them is, like, there's things that, you know, you have no control over. A situation happened and you just happen to be a part of it. So you would say, like, well, where was my part in that? And sometimes it's just a situation of saying, if you were to go back, how would you do it differently? Or if you had different options, how would you do it differently? And knowing that you're always the one that's responsible is you never feel like a victim. Like you're the victim of this situation because this person did this or this person did that. You're fully in control of doing that. So is that basically how you resolve that challenge of having different perspectives on things, or was there anything else that you did?
I would say, I mean, I guess there was a lot along the way. One of the things that really helped me was I love personality tests because I'm really into human behavior. I went to school for marketing. I love understanding human behavior. It actually plays a huge role in what I do now for events. And I love taking personality tests, and I did them with my entrepreneurs group. I did it with my team. And then I started talking to my family about it, and they were so interested in it. I said, why don't we do it as a family? Like, why don't we all see what personality types we are?
That would be fun.
Yeah, I was shocked that I hadn't thought about it earlier. And it was even interesting. I thought my twin sister and I would have the same. I don't know why I thought we would have the same personality type. I know why, but now that I'm thinking about it, that's silly. Of course, we're like still different just because we were born at the same time. We're still different personalities. So I learned a lot about her. But my mom, it really helped me to learn her personality type. My mom is a very creative person. Like, she can truly come up with so many ideas. It put her into this like emotional category of a personality type, very similar to probably what like a Lady Gaga would fall into, or a Picasso would fall into, the creatives, the true creatives.
I want to meet your mom.
She's cool. She's very cool. People love my mom. They really do. She's a tough one, but
I think I would
she's
like
fun.
her.
She's fun. But I realized I thought my mom was just always emotional. I'm like, oh my God, Mom, you're so emotional. Why do you this is not a big deal. We don't have to cry about this or get emotional about this. But then when I read her personality type, I realized for her to be that creative, for her to actually have that level of ideation in her head all the time, she has to experience these really highs and lows of emotion. Because emotion is where creativity comes from. How do you write songs? How do you paint a painting? How do you do anything? So it helped me to understand this isn't your mom, Hayley. This is a personality type, and you have to let her live out her personality type. There's other people on this earth living with her exact personality type. So that actually was like such an eye opener for me. And now I'm just like, it's okay. But what I did do, boundaries for myself, was I said, I don't want to be in the emotional roller coaster. I will let you. So if I'm talking to her and she's maybe getting really emotional, I'll say, you know what, Mom, sounds like you need, a little bit of time. Why don't I call you back tomorrow? Like, I love you. I care about you. It sounds like maybe this is like something you need to reflect on. Let me call you back tomorrow. Take some time for yourself. Like, I try and do it in a very loving way. I try not to do it in a judgmental way, but I also do it in a way that protects me and has a boundary for me that I'm maybe not comfortable going into that deep emotional place, because that's not my personality type. So I started finding ways to navigate it, but yeah, that was super helpful.
I love the personality type tests. Yeah. I've done it with employees as well, because it's helpful when, like you, understanding your mom. Sometimes you may have, again, a perception of what something is, but if you know their personality type in advance, it really helps you get along with someone else or understand where they're coming from. So we did talk about that we both love Joe Dispenza and Mind Valley, and you said you already mentioned that you love personal development stuff. So what are some of the things that you did that helped you move forward or navigate any fears you may have had, or negative emotions, or anything else that you've done in personal development besides the stuff with your family? And
for sure, Joe Dispenza has been, and Mind Valley, I will say, both were critical on my path to personal development and where I am today. My husband got really, really into Joe Dispenza, which really helped me because every day he asks me, did you meditate? Did you meditate? I know a lot of us struggle with meditation.
Yes.
It really helps when somebody in your house asks you every single day if
He's
you
keeping you
meditate.
accountable.
Yes. And my husband doesn't let me complain about things and go on and on. Like, you know what he'll tell me? Well, did you meditate? That's
Wow.
And actually his tough love, I'm adding my husband to the mix of the three here in terms of personal development, him not allowing me to storytell, because that's what it is. We're storytelling.
Yes.
So he didn't let me storytell a lot. It's not that he doesn't listen or doesn't care, but if it's a repetitive story, if it's a story I've told before, he'll definitely, and it's great. Like, thank goodness for him, because he helped me realize, okay, if I can't tell the story, then I have to get myself out of the story. So I don't have anybody to talk about the story. So how do I just get myself out then to not even want to talk about the story anymore? So he was a huge motivator of those things. But yes, Joe Dispenza was massive. I think one of the things I love about what Joe Dispenza says is, well, what would X person do? And when I took over the business, I was still a bit timid in a lot of ways. And I'm a Taurus. I like stability. I like safety. Safety is like my number one. And I felt very safe at our revenue. I felt very safe where we were. I knew that I could bring a salary in for myself. I knew we could service our clients. We qualified for things like entrepreneurs organization. Like, we were a nice size business. And I thought, okay, if we just stay here, we're good. I realized that you can't really do that because there's always somebody on your heels. People will come in. If you ever, I knew inside, like, I wanted to grow. I'm still a competitive, high achieving person. And I knew as I was telling myself these things, like, intuitively, I also knew that, like, that was not the right thing to do. But what I did instead of making myself feel guilty about it or bad about it is I just took my time with it. I was like, you know what, let me just stay a little small for the next year or two, because I'm just buying this business. I'm still young. Like, I'm still figuring this out, how to even be a business owner. So let me just get comfortable with it. But I know intuitively I do have to push past this fear. It's just I'm not ready to push past it yet. And then when I was ready to push past it, that's when I started pulling on the Joe Dispenza concept. Okay, well, what would a big business owner do? What would somebody who craves risk, who craves growth, who loves it do? And I actually just simply ask myself that question every single day, because there's tons of moments throughout your day where you have to make a decision that's going to take you down path A or path B. And if you just ask yourself the question of who you're trying to become, you will choose the path that aligns with that person. So it was really that simple, honestly. Like, I would get asked to speak on stage, but because I'm somebody that doesn't like a lot of risk, I'm thinking, oh, but I have all these clients I have to service and these proposals. I don't have time to build a deck. I don't have time to rehearse public speaking opportunity. And I take everything seriously that I commit to. So, but I thought, okay, but Hayley, what would a big business person do? Somebody that really wants to grow their company, they would speak on stage and build a personal brand. So I was like, all right, I'm going to have to make time for it, because that's what that kind of a person would do. And person B would be the old Hayley. It would be the old version of yourself. So I really just committed to that, literally just answering that question. And whatever the big business person would do, I essentially had to do. It was like a game. I was like, oh, great. It's like, I have to take on this challenge, because that's path A. Like, that's the one if you want to keep growing.
So it sounds like you were embracing modeling.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Yeah, it was definitely, I'm so happy I did it, because now I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I had so much potential that would have been untapped, and I still have so much potential. Like, intuitively, I just feel it. I know that I have more to give, but the universe needs me to overcome myself first. And I'm overcoming myself. I've overcome myself so much. I used to be so anxious. I used to be so nervous. I used to not want to do any more than like was too much, or like maybe I would not have enough time to get it all done or do it in a high quality way. And I've just overcome so much of that. So now I'm just so used to overcoming myself. It's become like just something I'm very comfortable with. I'm comfortable with overcoming myself. If I see a limitation in my path, I'm like, okay, Hayley, you know what you got to do? You got to overcome it. Like, what's next, right? So I know I have so much more to give, and I'm so happy that I didn't quit. And I actually remember there was a couple times where I really wish that my husband would take it all away from me, that he would take away all the stress, all the feeling that I had to do it. And I remember saying to him, like, I kind of wish that like you had the really big job, And mine was like enough to just like bring some money in, you know, compensate my lifestyle. And he was always like, no. He was like, you have so much potential. And I would be upset about it. Like I would actually be, I'm like, but it's so stressful. Like I don't want to do this. Like it's too much. Like I'm going to fail. Like it's going to be overwhelming for me. And I'm so, so happy that he did not let me settle for safety and not let me just stay in this little cocoon that I was comfortable in, because now I'm so happy. Like I'm so happy with my life and I'm so excited for what's next. And I realized like he was my soulmate. He was my perfect partner, because the universe said, you need somebody that's not going to let you stay comfortable. And that was my husband. And he is still today that force for me that keeps me going.
Well, the only time we're growing is when we're uncomfortable.
Yes.
So it's not always the best spot to be in, but it's the only way it works.
Yep.
So what would you say? You said your husband saw a lot of potential in you. So what would you say your best quality is that helps you succeed?
Oh, my best quality.
Or your strongest quality?
I would say that I have an ability to see things at a bird's eye view. So I can have a conversation with a client or with a vendor and I can hear everything they're saying, but then take it like to a high level of like really understanding like where they're coming from. Like what's the umbrella of all of this? Like you're saying a bunch of details about your event or a bunch of frustrations that you're having. And then I can kind of look back at it holistically and understand, okay, this is actually where you want to go. I don't get so deep in the detail that I get lost in it, because a lot of clients will come on a call and they'll try and give me the solution. They want to tell me the ideas for their event. They want to, and I love that. That's great. I'm happy to listen, but like, tell me what your problems are, because I can actually high level look at everything and then go back down to ground level. Because if we can't pull back and really understand where you're coming from, I think people appreciate that I can really hear them and I see them and I can really understand what they're saying. I think that's the empathetic, the empath part of me. And a lot of times I'll come off a call and my team member will be like, okay, so she wants this. And I'm like, no. Did you hear what she said? Her boss just changed jobs. She just got into this new role. What's actually really important to her is that she impresses this specific person on her team. Like I hear everything else that's like not being said sometimes directly. The other thing I will say, the flip side of that, is that I'm a very direct person. So I'm really comfortable having very direct conversations. I don't like leaving things ambiguous or in the gray. So even with what I found with my team, especially in events, is that I'll say, okay, directly, but what exactly is happening? Like if I find a lot of people actually leave a conversation having never gone to a place of black and white, they always leave conversations in gray. I don't know if that's the Canadian culture way of not wanting to stumble on each other or like
being
overstep.
so polite as Canadians.
Yes, very polite, but to a point of detriment to your event or to like the project you're working on. Cause I'm like, but we're not clear as to what she actually approved, or we're not clear as to what he actually like. Is it red or do you want the white? Like, do you want this or do you want that? And are we, okay, great. We'll do the earlier load in. Okay, so we're coming in at 5 a.m. and we're going to be there loading in from 5 to 7. Like that's me on the call. Like I'm always getting everyone to actually say what they want to say and actually get us on the same page. So I think the listening is there, but also making people a little bit more comfortable with their voice, which is kind of funny because this whole conversation started with the fact that I had a more timid voice. I was more held back. And now I think that confidence is there to make sure that I help people communicate sometimes even with each other.
So what I think I heard you say is people say a lot of words.
Yes.
And then you're able to pull out the bigger meaning or the big picture of what they actually want to achieve. And then after the fact, you get into the details that make everything run smoothly.
Yes, that was very well put. That was a great summary.
I'm used to listening to people as well. So who does Hayley Dawood help? What kind of person do you help and who is your ideal client?
Our ideal client is actually an event professional within a corporation. That would be our most common client that we work with. A lot of companies from Sun Life to Deloitte to Ernst & Young, they have meeting planners in-house at their companies because they throw so many events, so many meetings, so many conferences throughout the year. They need an internal that really understands the brand, that is connected to the internal ecosystem.
Okay.
However, because they're so caught up in that, in understanding their own ecosystem, they're in very like business heavy meetings all day, very administrative. They sometimes are not as exposed to all the creative that's out there, all the vendors, the juggler, the really cool new girl that does art on your latte. You know, they don't have time for all that.
That's why you're the idea girl.
That's me. So they really, I always tell them like, please focus on your guests, focus on your executives, focus on your board. Tell me what really, really matters to them. Let me do the hunting for you. Let me find the creative ideas that solves all the problems you're looking to solve. So that's why they're our really most ideal client, because they really want to outsource that creativity to us. And it's a nice partnership because we really lean on them to understand, like, we're taking all their guidance on until we get to know their audience, until we've done the event with them and we see how their guests respond to things. But they're also amazing to work with because they're professionals. So when we speak to them and when we work with them, we're always speaking the same language, which is a benefit to being on the corporate event side versus, let's say, weddings, for example, where your client they're not educated on events necessarily. So I always really appreciate that about my clients, is that we have a really good dynamic in the sense that we know what things cost. We know what venues are new in the city, what venues are still, you know, maybe need a touch up in the city. Like every time I talk to them, we're on the same page, which is nice.
So you're a support or a partner with event planners within corporations.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how we get to work on all these incredible events for these big names that, you know, you listed off when you first introduced me. So
there's
really
a few big ones.
Events is never one person. I think there is a little bit of this visual of an event planner. She does it all. She's like a superhero in a cool glitzy cape, but events.
I can see you in a cool glitzy cape.
I can definitely if anyone can pull off a cool glitzy cape, it's me. But I also like a glitzy headset. But yeah, events is such a team. Like there's so many times where I'm working with multiple agency owners. We're all coming to the table to work together. It's so fun. And everyone has their role on the event. I had a client ask me, oh, can we do some entertainment with you and some entertainment with this partner? And I said, no, because when you come onto a team, everybody has to have their role. We can't be competing within a team dynamic.
That makes sense.
So you can consider us versus them and then make whatever choice you're most comfortable with. But once we're on that team, we each have to have our role. And that's how we have so much respect for one another, because we all know exactly what we're coming to the event to do.
And then there's a flow.
Yes, exactly. But there's so many talented people when you're at an event. It's not just you. I think sometimes people always ask me, oh, how are you so creative? How do you do this? I'm like, I'm not doing it by myself. I'm just paying attention. I'm super curious. I'm always looking for ideas. I'm seeing things constantly. It's like you buy a red car, you see a red car everywhere. I'm in events. I see things everywhere. I see things all the time. So, but I'm also leaning on my vendors. I'm calling and saying, hey, audiovisual, like this is what we're trying to achieve. We want it to feel like a concert. We want light. Like what would you guys do? So it's also just being okay to ask. Like I always tell my team, I'm like, why are you guessing? Just call the vendor and ask them. Ask them what they can do. Ask them if they can do something. Maybe they have a costume we've never seen. Just ask them. So I just ask. Even after 10 years, I still ask my vendors all the time.
So what's your message to the audience?
Oh, my message to the audience would be overcome yourself. Have fun with the process of overcoming yourself. And I would say start small, because overcoming yourself is a lifelong journey. You just keep revealing new layers of yourself.
Well, we never arrive.
We do never arrive. I love that. We never arrive, and it's part of the journey. And if you never start the process of overcoming yourself, you'll never you'll never show your full potential. You'll never really experience what's out there for you, the full journey of your life. So every time you overcome yourself, you're unlocking the next door. So I think the best thing that I could say to them is like, have fun with that process. And it's okay to be uncomfortable. Like, honestly, it's everything's fabricated out there. Everything's a bit of a game. Picture yourself in a game. Picture yourself going to your next level, and be okay to fall a little bit. Be okay to fail a little bit. Nobody remembers. You'll be fine.
Be okay to play the game of life.
Play the game. Get on the field. Yes.
So what's something that people would be surprised to learn about you?
Surprised to learn about me?
I'm getting personal.
Well, I don't watch television. That was a big change that I made, and it's funny because when people come into my condo, the first thing they ask me is, where's your TV? It's actually the most common question I get when people come, which I think is so interesting. So it tells me that that's a big thing for people. So a year ago, I stopped watching television because I wanted to become a content creator and I needed more time. So that was actually really nice. I don't miss watching TV. I don't miss watching things that I felt like really consumed my mind and were not giving back to me a whole lot. I was definitely giving to the TV economy and the Bravos and the Disneys and the Netflix subscriptions and all of that. So you have more time than you think. So yeah, I think that's something that I actually don't tell a lot of people because most people do watch TV and it doesn't really make them feel good when I tell them I don't. So it's not really something I like tell people, but I will say it's an unlock if you're chasing a dream and if you want to do more. I'm an entrepreneur, I run a business and I want to become a content creator. That doesn't mean I just get to do it in the middle of my business day. I'm responsible for a lot of clients and a lot of people on my team. And I had to still treat it as a hobby to start, even though it is my business. I could technically carve out a whole day if I wanted to, but I felt like that would be irresponsible. For me, it felt very much like this hobby, this passion. And I was like, okay, how do I make time? I'm going to have to make time. So even outside of my day, I still have to find time to do the things that I want to expand into. And now I've proven that it's truly a business benefit. So I can do it during the day. I can invest resources into it. But that was how I first was able to really get into it and really launch.
I actually have a funny story about that. When my husband will bring it back often, is that I did not know how to turn on or off the television. Because for such a long time, I didn't watch television either until I discovered Netflix a little while ago. Well, maybe not that little while ago. I'd say maybe 10 years ago. But up until that point, I remember he used to say, you left the TV on. I'm like, because I don't know how to turn it off. I'd leave the house and just leave the television on because someone else turned it on and I didn't know how to turn it off. So I would just leave.
I think you're the first person I've ever met that doesn't know how to turn a television off.
Well, I do now. I learned.
They forced you. The family sat you down as an intervention.
Yeah, it was an intervention. Well, I discovered Netflix and then all of a sudden it was worth it for me to learn because there was something to watch all of a sudden, but it does take a lot of your time away watching Netflix. And definitely if you want to grow, something has to give. We all only have 24 hours in a day. So if we want to grow and create something, then we have to cut somewhere.
Yeah.
And TV is definitely one of those things.
Yeah. So I guess that's interesting.
So Hayley has shared with us her story with such authenticity and insight. Her journey is a testament to what happens when creativity meets courage, when ideas aren't just imagined, but fully lived out with purpose and heart. From taking the reins of a family business to redefining the modern events and what they can be, she has shown that leadership isn't about following a blueprint, it's about writing your own. Her ability to blend artistry with strategy and vision with vulnerability is exactly what inspires the next generation of creators and entrepreneurs to lead with both innovation and intention. To our listeners, if today's conversation sparks something in you, take that as a cue that the ideas that come to you aren't random, they're invitations. What you choose to build with them is what defines your path. Hayley, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us, and you've been very authentic in sharing your heart with us and your journey, and we really appreciate having it. And we've learned so much about you. I loved it.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to share my story because it was given to me to experience and to share. So why not share it? Everything happened to me intentionally and for a reason. So I'm happy to share it.
That's awesome. To our listeners, if you want to keep creating and keep evolving, watch our next episode to keep building your empire.